All right, let's get into Mother Earth and Father Time and the human being, man, who has come in and basically taken control of Mother Earth and has forced himself upon her and have taken her oil, taken her gems, taken her mineral sources, all these different things, okay? So as all this is playing along, and man is creating so-called foods and drinks, whatever, using petro as an easy example, but we have petrochemicals in our food. So this is where Mother Earth is coming in. The queen is coming into the hive, and she is giving poison, the antifreeze, whatever, to the kings, the queens, whatever you are, the king of kings. And you are, if you're taking from that one system, right, the 80-20 rule or whatever, the 80 that rules with the lying, and we see how everything's got blown out of proportion and whatever else in this capitalistic system, everything's corrupt. So as that rupture happens and that volcano, that blow it out your ass, arse, the cars, kind of comes to a position as you're taken into the stable, that anger, the manger, and those things. But as Mother Earth has given us this source of life, the golden ratio in a way, that Greek ratio, the one of spirit, of earth, of light, of the natural. This is where man that wants to take this, what's natural. Oh, well, it has granola and whatever else on it. And it's a crunchy lifestyle, or it's vegan and whatever else. Okay, that's all taking something and bringing it to an extreme where the balance just goes this. There's no balance. So you got to have a little bit of everything. Okay? And while you have everything, it's just being used wrong. And this is where we got to have the apples all year round, or we got to have this year round. We don't eat local and seasonally. And when you eat seasonally, you have to build up ferments and whatever to get through the winter time, or you got to eat, or you can eat certain foods that store over winter time, or jerky and those things, and it's a time of rest and detoxification, and that's where you have this natural detoxification come over your system every year, called the so-called flu or the so-called cold. Okay, but this is where they're also putting stuff in the food and drink yearly, and y'all are passing it along that way by eating it, and then it's also an energetic toxicity, and this is where you're going along with the people. Okay, they're just going down, down, down. So if you're not going up, all right, you're going to catch what they're you catch what they catch. All right, and we do most of our communication as human beings without even speaking. And when you're with a certain distance within a person and such, you can hear y'all are tapping into each other without knowing it or whatever. So this is where if you know these things, then you can tap into it in a way. And these things have been the only reason I know this or whatever, because this was actually done on me through a practitioner at some point, and it actually helped, and it was many times that this was done and tested and whatever else, but I got metal in my foot, and most of the pain and such went away after that or whatever. I was carrying around trauma and whatever from the wreck and all the surgery and whatever else went on with the afterwards, with not working for 6 months, losing clientele, all the stuff that goes on when you're bedridden for 6 months or whatever, and then getting down to 130 pounds, and because you can't eat, and either way, folks, so as Mother Earth and these things are all working in a symbiotic relationship, we've seen different things put in our market. We've seen how Our lights can be divided and compartmentalized just with our own world, where you have over 55 go to these doctors, 25 to 40 or 55 go to these doctors, under 25 go to these doctors, or whatever kind of thing, or like, either way. And then also you have the 55 and older take these kinds of things, or that age takes those things, and you can have this and those ones, or this one and those ones, and this is where you can have they're coming for your children in one way, or shot in the arm or the head. Either way, you end up dead, and where you have that kind of overlay. But as all these things are coming into our world, this is where at some point this just kind of peters out, as you have the Peter in. And the Peter in is where you have the Satan, and the Christ, and the Christ, and the consciousness and the conscience, and the so-called church and the church. And the so-called Paul, the politics, coming in and axing Jesus, saying, this is your God, this is your lot. And there's been a testament. Oh man, it's just forget it. So as it's a symbiotic relationship, as man takes from here, they get this and whatever, and they have to move here. And this is where we see these kinds of things put on the market here and here. But you always have your staples. You always have your wood cutting board. You always have your stone. You always have your stainless steel, or your cast iron, and these types of things. Okay, we don't need iron fortification. You need to use a cast iron every now and then. And that's where these heavy metals and all those things are all coming into play as you are a living metal, liquid metal machine, and you have a computer inside of you. You have electrical current inside of you that needs salt, that all of you are using the wrong salt, or you're need fat because the electricity and the wiring in your body and all that stuff needs so-called cholesterol. But the worship of the name and number. You don't have any sheathing on your electrical components. So you're all getting G. Okay? So this is part of the rebuilding of the temple that's going to be coming without hands, that you're going to be given and divided by the bowels. What do you think is in these dudes that are drinking beer and stuff, and it's hard as rock, and it's like they're 9 months pregnant, and they live like that for years? Like, what is going on, dude? You have like a carnival mirror where it makes you thin, or like, what's going on? Like, when you can't see yourself anymore, you might want to do something. Well, you know what's the problem? The fat lady starts singing. You know the show's over. But how do you know when she's too fat? Because you can't hear any music. And that's exactly where we are now. So as everybody's drunk in Babylon, the men, the kings are just like this, right? You're at that party scene, and then somebody just starts coming and sticking you with needles. Try this heroin. Try this amphetamine. And that's exactly what's going on in our world as everybody is taking those shots of Babylon. And that Beersheba. And as all these things work together, let's bring you the nightly news. It doesn't take a long time to get you into that old hypnotized state. And you've all been hypnotized, and the hypocrites and all that are coming up out of the water as the alligators are coming in and such. The alligators. And the alligators is all set up before you. As Don has already set on his gay apparel for your Christmas time frame. And your Holy Ghost is showing for your Biden. That go host. Or the G host for those 7 lights on that candlestick for the oh man. And that Jack and Jill session for the doctor. And the woman running everything and all those things that I told y'all, but we're going to be living in a little reverse spectrum. That's okay. It's part of that psychological thriller. But really, when you think about these things, the people over time, okay, 50s, 60s, 70s, when the King Spirit came on, the devil's lettuce before that, the devil's music, all those things interweaving. And then they got that Leo, that pole ice, that police, that hunter session. It's all coming in a way. But as, and that's part of that Scandinavian such for that ID and whatever. But as these things work in increments and the generations upon generations, and then we see these things happening with the children now with 1 and 32 or 1 and 14 and boys or whatever they're saying with autism and whatever, and that's that goldtism that's coming for the older generation and whatever else. But as they go into that drunkenness, they give the 1 dose, and then the 1 dose, and the 1 dose, and all these things were fed in with the projection of the so-called World War I, World War II after Hollywood, and all these things were brought into your world in a real half-real situation. And either way, man, Mother Earth is coming and resetting, and the man and woman shall wither away, and with her away, and weather away, and all those little things as your so-called 7 lights are coming into a little spectrum, and you have your little parables and your allegories and your metaphors and your book of spirit opening up, your bouquet of spirit opening up for you, and that bouquet is there for your Star Trek and going where no man has gone before, and your Spaceballs and different other things that play off these little hands of time. And then your Home Alone, Home Improvement, Ted Allen or whatever, he ties into your Star Trek parody, and that parody, that party, and those things that we're going into, and the Sigourney Weaver with the aliens and shit, and the aliens with your venom and your symbiosis, and all those things we've gotten into. So either way, folks,